I recently just rewatched the 2015 anime Charlotte, and I have a lot to complain about. Now, when I originally watched the show, I had applauded the ending for how it wrapped up its complicated but interesting plot cleanly. But even though the main plot finished out nicely, there are so many elements that go into the finale of the show that are just so unfair to our main character, Yu. So, I thought I'd go over these elements today of how I think the show was super unfair to Yu. First of all, I want to recap the character Yu of when we first meet him in the series. When we first meet him, he's an arrogant character who uses his own superpowers to cheat on tests and get girls. Which, yeah, aren't the best things in the world, but also, in the grand scheme of things, especially in the series, are not the worst. Character arcs are interesting things to watch, especially when a character starts off as an arrogant person. But I'd argue that the obstacles they put Yu through are completely overkill. And the fact that I really want y'all to keep in mind through all of this, as I'm going to recap the ending, is that Yu is 15 to 16 years old in this series. So later on, it's revealed that Yu has the power to absolve other people's powers, which becomes the catalyst for the entire plot of the series, where Yu is tasked with unpowering everyone. That way no one can use their powers for bad, and so that people don't manipulate people who have powers for their own use. The plot point that really makes my skin itch is when we are introduced to his brother. His brother Shunsuke is introduced as a shocking plot twist to the audience, because to Yu's knowledge and the audience's knowledge, Yu has only had one little sister. But it is revealed that his brother has been working for the cause of helping other people with powers when he was a kid. But when things got too dangerous, he decided to use his time travel powers to make his existence forgotten by his siblings. Powers have the effects on users' bodies with use, so let's just keep this in mind. So, during the time that he was hidden from his brother, he went blind as a side effect from using his time travel powers. But it's also worth to note that his BFF, Kuogami, aka Pooh, had been at his brother's side this whole time. So, when they are finally reunited, it's wonderful, it's heartwarming, and it helps move the plot forward. But pretty soon after they are reunited, Pooh and Yu's love interest, Tamori, gets kidnapped by people who want to use other people's power for their own gain. When Yu's brother hears this, he goes, "Guys, I have a great idea. My dearest minor brother, how about you go in there and save them by yourself? Even though I know you can't control your powers half the time when you're overwhelmed, don't stress about that. And I'll even give you my time travel powers so nothing can go wrong. You're only gonna risk your life, my best friend's life, and your potential future girlfriend's life." And very understandably, in response to that, Yu is like, no, do I have to do that? That sucks. I actually don't want to do that. And then he has a meltdown where he can't control his powers. And his brother's like, "It's fine. It's okay. Just calm down. You got this, champ." I know we have a huge organization of power users, but you don't really need to worry about them. You got this, buddy. Which, okay, this whole argument, I know that we are supposed to be rooting for Yu to become the hero character in contrast to his original antagonistic traits, but isn't this doing too much? Like, he just reunited with his brother, and he's already trying to get him killed. So after this, he pretty much gets peer pressured into going, even though he really doesn't want to, and had a meltdown over not wanting to, and, well, as expected, it does not go down well. He shows up and almost immediately gets disarmed when he gets slashed in the eye, not allowing him to time travel. Then, as anticipated, he has a power overload, causing the building to collapse, which does kill the enemies, but also ends up killing Pooh. Let me remind you, Yu did not want to go into that building. But after this, his brother and the people who worked under him blame him, or at least resent Yu for his death. I guess the brother doesn't really say explicitly that he resents him, but the fact that he never showed up to visit him in the hospital speaks volumes. Also, it does not help the gay allegations his brother has with Pooh. Also, a character that pisses me off a lot that isn't the brother is Shikchino, who is a character who can travel through walls. First off, lame ability. Second off, the disrespect he gives Yu after Pooh's death is so vile because he knows you did not want to go into that building.
It wouldn't have happened if you weren't so busy trying to save your own ass.
His character is just as arrogant as you when we first met him, so it's so weird that they included his character because it makes me wonder why his character is never punished for the way he acts. But meanwhile, Yu has to suffer all of this, all because he cheated on tests. Okay, I swear I'm getting to the ending. So Yu, in his distress, is like, okay guys, I know I suck and I need to repair this. So I have an idea. You guys work on collecting the people in Japan who have powers, and how about I'll do everyone else in the entire world? Like, is that not insane? And then he introduces this idea to Tamori, and she agrees to this for some reason, even though her entire relationship with Yu has leaned on the fact that she is a rational, calm, and kind person to him. She tells him that once he comes back, they can be together and creates a parting gift with him for her to remember him by. I also want to point out that his brother also did not care that he was leaving and didn't bother to wish him goodbye. So at this point, literally nobody cares about the livelihood of this 16-year-old boy. So Yu goes out on his world journey to help put an end to all the powers in the world. And soon we begin to see the consequence of what his powers result in, and it's his memory. So we begin to see him fall into madness as he continues taking powers all over the world. I also want to point out something that really annoyed me when this journey was happening. So, by surprise, he was actually keeping in touch with his brother for a short period before he started losing his memories, via phone. But when the building he's staying at explodes because of another power overload from Yu, they lose communication with one another. Walk me through the thought process. Okay, imagine you're the brother. Imagine. Oh, I'm sure he's fine. I mean, he's only on international news. He's only 16, alone, traveling around the world, doesn't really know where to go. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's perfectly safe and sound. Like, we never see after this any effort of communication from the brother. And I could give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he tried and it was too risky, or maybe he tried and it just didn't work, but he gets no benefit. His track record already isn't looking really good. I'm not going to give this man any benefit of the doubt. So you're watching Yu fall into madness and you start to feel horrible for his situation as you realize how alone this guy truly is. You think that his family and friends would have learned the first time that leaving this boy alone on a mission that risks his life isn't a good idea. But again, these people do not care about him. Eventually, Yu is able to obtain every power in the world, and then conveniently, as he's passing out, after finishing his final one, a helicopter comes to take him home. And the helicopter bit also gets me, because going back to the moment where the phone explodes, realize that if the brother wanted to see Yu again, he could have. But he genuinely did not care enough about him as he did for the mission that he was completing. So, in reaching the final moments of the series, Yu wakes up in a hospital and surprise, surprise, he has no clue who anyone is, including his love interest. So what he fought for all of this time is completely meaningless. It's implied that a part of him remembers as he cries over a parting gift he still had with him, but like, if we know anything from the blind brother, bro is not getting his memories back. And in the final moments of the series, my blood starts to boil. So, in the final moment, we see Tamori take a group photo, and who is in this photo, you might ask? Well, let me tell you right now, it's not his brother. It's not the entire organization he spent a year helping at the risk of his own life to help. It's his sister and his 2 friends, and he is in a wheelchair as he recovers from his injuries. And when I watched this again, I had to ask myself, is this all really worth it? And is it really fair to you? Yeah, he was arrogant, but I mean, so was Shikno. And yes, he was unempathetic, but so was his brother. And okay, nobody else cheated on tests, but is it ever really that serious? The main strong point of this series of what made it so popular in the first place is Yu himself, with his hilarious personality. And when we see him from the first episode to the last, I'd argue that he's worse off in the end, like all the color had been drained from his personality. I love a good character redemption, but this entire series really had to drive home on how Yu owes the world his kindness for being shady to one school. The entire series, I felt like I just kept saying in my head,
It's good, okay, that's good. That's good. It's enough slices!
I also want to point out that some people might argue that Yu is a bad person because in the alternate universe where his sister had died, he was like beating people up and being generally evil, but they went back in time and they fixed that timeline, so it's no longer real, so it doesn't matter. Yu has this whole thing with like madness, but honestly, like all the madness that he experiences is kind of fair because I would also go insane if somebody asked me to go out on a trip for a year by myself around the world completely alone after a pretty traumatic event, which almost risked my lover's life and killed somebody. This is not fair. I know he cheated on Tess, but like, is it really that serious? No, it's not that serious. And I think that's my main problem with the series, and that they keep driving home on how awful a person Yu is, but honestly, he's really not that bad. Like, at all. But anyways, that's just what I think. If you guys love Charlotte or have rewatched it recently, please let me know. And you can let me know whether or not you agree. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!